All right, today we're going to do a little detective work. We are going to unravel a statistical mystery surrounding a really powerful, but sometimes confusingly named tool for finding hidden patterns in data. So, what exactly is a Gaussian mixture model? Anyway, so the mystery really kicks off right here. It's a question you see pop up all the time. Are latent profile analysis and Gaussian mixture models the same thing? I mean, this Reddit user totally nails it. It feels like it might just be a difference in terminology. So are they two separate methods or just two names for the same idea? Let's dig in and gather the evidence. Okay, so to crack this case, we have to get to know our main suspect, the Gaussian mixture model, or GMM for short. Picture a big, messy cloud of data points. A GMM looks at that cloud and says, you know what? I bet this isn't just one big blob. I bet it's actually a mixture of a few different, simpler groups all blended together. And each of those little groups, they follow that classic bell curve shape, the one statisticians call a Gaussian distribution. So at its heart, a GMM is all about clustering. Its whole job is to find those hidden or latent groups and figure out everything about them. You know, things like how many groups there are, where their centers are, what their shapes look like. This makes it a super powerful tool for what's called unsupervised learning, which is when you don't have any labels telling you what's what ahead of time. But that brings up a really good question, right? I mean, there are a ton of ways to cluster data. So what makes GMM so special? What's their secret weapon for finding these hidden patterns? Well, the secret sauce is really their flexibility. See, a lot of other methods kind of assume all the clusters have to look the same. But GMMs, nope. They can handle groups with all sorts of different shapes and orientations. And they do this by tweaking something called covariance, which, don't worry, is just a fancy stats term for describing the shape of a cluster. This flexibility is absolutely key. And this is where you can really see that power in action. You can actually tell the model what kinds of shapes to expect. So if you set the covariance to spherical, it's going to look for perfect circles. Diagonal lets it find stretched out ellipses, but they have to be lined up with the axes. Tide lets those ellipses rotate, but they all have to have the exact same shape. And then there's full covariance, and that's just total freedom. Each cluster can be its own unique, stretched out, rotated ellipse. It's this ability to adapt that makes GMMs so incredibly useful. Okay, so we get it. The model's flexible. That's cool. But how does it actually learn this stuff? It's not like it has an answer key. How does it start with this big jumble of data and end up with these neat, well-defined clusters? It uses this really clever two-step dance called the Expectation-Maximization algorithm, or just the EM algorithm. This thing is basically the engine under the hood of the GMM. The best way to think about it is like tuning an old-school radio. You make a guess, turn the dial a little bit, and then you listen. Is the signal clearer? Okay, based on that, you adjust the dial again. And you just keep repeating that process. Guess, check, adjust, until, bam, you've got a crystal clear station. The EM algorithm does the exact same thing until it finds the best possible clusters. So here's how that two-step dance works. First, you have the E step, the expectation step. This is the guess part. For every single data point, the algorithm calculates the probability that it belongs to each cluster. It's a soft guess, like, this point is probably 70% in cluster A, but maybe 30% in cluster B. Then comes the M step, the maximization step. This is the adjust part. Based on all those soft guesses, the algorithm updates the shape and center of each cluster. And it just goes back and forth, E step, M step, over and over. And every single time it goes through that loop, the clusters get a little bit better, a little more accurate. All right, we've got a pretty solid profile on our main suspect now. We know what a Gaussian mixture model is, what it does, and how it works. So let's get back to the original mystery. Is this whole thing the same as latent profile analysis? And here it is, the big reveal. All the evidence points to one conclusion. It's just a difference in names. You see, in fields like computer science and applied math, they call it a Gaussian mixture model. But over in the social and behavioral sciences, researchers came up with the exact same method. They just gave it a different name, latent profile analysis. So, yep, case closed. The name latent profile analysis isn't describing a different algorithm. It's describing the goal. Think about it. You're doing an analysis to find hidden or latent groups, which you could call profiles. It's a perfect common sense description of what a GMM is built to do. But you know, knowing they're the same is only half the story. The real story is why this model is so important in the first place. Because this ability to find hidden groups in a really flexible way, It has huge, powerful applications for all kinds of messy, real-world problems. I mean, take missing data. It's a total nightmare in almost any real-world dataset. But what this research points out is that the GMM's learning process is so clever, it can actually handle those missing pieces as it goes. So instead of trying to just fill in the blanks with a simple guess beforehand, the model itself can work around that uncertainty while it's finding the clusters. It's a way more sophisticated way to handle a super common headache. So what's the bottom line here? The big takeaway? Well, whether you call it a GMM or an LPA, it doesn't really matter. The core idea is that this is an incredibly flexible and seriously powerful statistical tool. It lets us look at a complicated mess of data and find the hidden structure, the patterns that were there all along, but we just couldn't see with our own eyes. And that kind of leaves us with one last big idea to chew on. This method gives us a key to unlock meaningful groups that aren't obvious at all. Hidden segments in customer data, or undiscovered patient groups in medical research. It really makes you think. With all the data being created every single second all around us, what other incredibly important hidden structures are just out there, waiting for us to find them?